Voy a empezar.
Dale.
Welcome to our discussion about language and ideology, which was the topic we chose for this video. And we chose also the question, how does the topic of language and ideology relate or affect our field of study? My name is Pablo Garcia. I study literature, and here my colleague is Santiago Giraldo, and he studies political science and economics.
So first we have to remember what we learned in class. So basically we learned that ideology is a set of opinions and beliefs of groups of individuals, and they are used to justify people's actions. So Western ideology, they tell us, is democracy, freedom, and individuality. However, when it comes to identity, it can be hard to pinpoint because of so many things we have in this big thing that we could call Western society. We also talk about language and how language can create an identity, but we also talk about how in a community we can have like separate small communities which can alter language. And we had the example of class and race during class. So I'm gonna start talking about how this relates to my degree, which is economics and political science. I'm gonna talk specifically about political science because it's more relevant. So we have two conceptions of ideology in political science. And the first one is that ideology is something that takes into account our beliefs of the world and how it should operate. We have, for example, Marxism, liberalism, or nationalism, in which we have, different ideas of what the world should be and what it is. They each operate with a given language, which is very important. For example, if you think of the word freedom, freedom is not the same for Marxism as it is for liberalism, whereas freedom can be achieved in capitalism, in liberalism, but not in Marxism. We also have another ideology, which is more abstract, which is ideology as something that generates specific webs of meaning. This is something that like around us and makes us understand our world a certain way and every social interaction in it. For example, we have some political theories like Zizek, which is the image that we have on the left, which is understanding the world through a certain lenses. That can be, for example, capitalist ideology, which is seeing the world as a, I don't know, like a merchandise or something like it. Language plays a key role because the words we use are going to set the limitations to what we understand as ideology, and this is what we study in our field to understand, like Zizek says, that maybe the problem is not so much the problem, but how we understand the problem because we're seeing it from a certain perspective that we don't understand.
And so my field of study is literature. And first of all, I'm going to talk about how literature has been used as a way to propel a language and in turn an ideology. So yeah, many times throughout history, literature has been used as a tool to legitimize a language in society. Examples of this can be Pushkin in Russia, who is an author that propelled the use of the Russian language instead of French, which was popular among the artistic uh, for artistic endeavors at the time. Chaucer in England and Dante in Italy, both through their works, both propelled the use of English, of Middle English and Italian instead of Latin, which was popular at the time. This means that to write in a particular language is a political statement in and of itself, because it means rejecting another language, especially if it's a language that is a structure of power, like Latin was at the time. And this also applies to dialect or certain slang. Many books nowadays are written in using particular slang words or dialect to show that a degree of rebellion or of the like. So next, I also I'm also going to talk about literature as a vehicle for ideology. So it isn't very hard to tell that many times. Can you go back, please? Yeah. That many times, like in dystopian fiction, especially, literature has been used as ways to criticize power ideologies or systems of government, or like in To Kill a Mockingbird, which criticizes racism, or in All Quiet on the Western Front, which criticizes war, and yeah, and the killing and death. So yeah. Finally, literature is one of the fundamental ways in which we create our identity. And this has been true for the longest time with works as El Cantar de Mio Cid or other foundational works of coders, or in a more modern sense, in the Latin American boom, which was an effort, a concerted effort by many authors to legitimize Latin American art as not a leech of European art, but as an equal and unique in its own way. And this also means that literature can be used as a way to fight back against globalization or the hegemony of particular institutions or cultures. An example of this is the fantasy genre, which went from The Lord of the Rings, which is based on European folklore, to more modern takes like the book I put here, which are based on folklore from other parts of the world. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening to us, and next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.